Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you a review and tutorial with the new Anastasia Riviera palette. So if you guys want to know everything about this new palette, see swatches and how I got this look today, then just keep on watching. So the Anastasia Riviera palette is now available online at Sephora and Ulta, and of course the Anastasia website. That's where I purchased mine for $45. I really like the look of this palette. It's like a fabric texture, so it's different than the packaging a little bit of the other Anastasia palettes. Like, it's a different texture. And then inside you have 14 shades, 6 shimmer shadows, and then 8 matte shades. All the mattes are the same quality, all the shimmers are the same quality. They're like that foiled metallic shimmer that you find in a lot of other Anastasia palettes. And then you also get a brush, a dual-ended brush that you usually get in all the other Anastasia palettes, and I never ever end up using for some reason. I always forget about the brushes, but otherwise it's the same layout as the rest of the Anastasia palette, same sides with 14 shades. But let's go ahead into the swatches. I'm going to swatch all the shades, let you guys know my thoughts about them, and then we'll get into the tutorial as well. Alright, so I'm going to swatch all of the shades in the Riviera palette, and then I'll give you guys a quick comparison on some other Anastasia palettes. It's literally going to be super quick because this is obviously a very different palette than some of the previous palettes from Anastasia in the past year. But we're going to start off with the top row with the shade Sails, which is just a matte white color. And we haven't seen a matte white. This kind of blends into my skin, but it is definitely just a stark white color. We haven't seen that in Anastasia palettes. Usually it's like a base color. And then this next shade is called Yacht. And this is gonna be like your more neutral lid color. That color is so gorgeous. Then Seychelles is this gorgeous, these two shades together. I'm gonna do an eye look with both of these. Is a gorgeous blue shade. And then we have this shade Palmero, and this is a pink tone. I have a little bit in my inner corner. All of the shimmer shadows are all the same formula. Just all of those together look so pretty. The next up we have the shade Seaside. This is a gorgeous purpley like chrome shade. Super pretty. I love like cool tone shimmery purples. Then Inheritance, this is a gold color. All of them obviously like swatch really good. They're all the same formula. And then lastly we have the shade Mediterranean. That's the shade that I have on my eyes today. Gorgeous like periwinkle shade. So that's everything in the first row, the matte white shade, and then all 6 shimmers. Moving into the second row, we have the shade Estate, which is a matte pink color. It is fairly light. Next we have the shade Cabana, which is like a mustardy yellow shade. It's definitely like a lighter transition shade as well. I have both of those in my crease today. And then Coastline is a slightly darker peachy tone. Basically all of these like blend into my skin, but once you apply them on the eyes, like they do show up a lot more visible. They look like so faint just swatching them, but they are lighter shades for sure. Those first 3 shades on the bottom row. Next, the shade Bahamas is the hot pink shadow. This is a gorgeous hot pink. Monte Carlo is another pink shade that's a little bit more wearable. It has light of like a purple hint to it. These aren't swatching like amazing, but they all apply really great on the eye. And then next, Canes is a matte purple shade. I have a lot of that shade in my outer corner, the matte purple shade. And then lastly, Palms is just like a deep brown shade. I'm gonna apply a little bit more of some of these mattes on my arm just so you guys can get like a better look at some of these shades, because they definitely apply way better than their swatching for sure. They don't like apply so faint when you get to actually like apply them on the eye. So that makes it like a little bit more true to how it applies on your eye. All right, so those are all 14 shades in the palette. Definitely a very colorful palette, very vibrant, and I just love all of the shimmers in here. They all swatch beautifully, they all apply beautifully, they're all the same formula. There's no like chunky glittery shades. They're all like beautiful foiled metallic shades. Like you guys can tell, they're all the same formula. I love every single shimmer shade except really this gold. I don't see myself wearing too much. I don't like very yellowy golds, but all the rest are shades that I would wear like on a regular basis. And normally I do comparison videos with Anastasia palettes, but there's really like no comparison with the other palettes that I have from Anastasia. The closest thing I could think of is maybe like the Anastasia Artist palette back from like 5 years ago. I had that back in the day. I don't have it anymore. That was a really colorful palette as well. The only other similar-ish color scheme, and this is a stretch, is the Norvina palette, but look, like there's really the closest comparison you would get is like Summer and Yacht, which is like the two neutrally shades. I was thinking Norvina because it has those like pinks and purples, but it's definitely like more wearable pinks and purples, more neutral shades that have like a purple or pink hint to it, and these are like very vibrant pinks and purples in the Riviera palette. So it's definitely not like any solid comparison there. It's a very unique palette on its own. Soft Glam is a completely, like, yeah, there's nothing to see here. Like, very neutral palette compared to a very colorful palette. And then if you have the Sultry palette, if you just want to see close-ups of both, Sultry is definitely like way more cool tone, way more neutral, like complete opposite palettes for sure. All right, so those are all of the shades, all of the swatches. The swatches look kind of like weak, especially all the matte shades, but you guys will see in the tutorial and obviously how my makeup looks today that it definitely goes on a lot more pigmented and dramatic. It's super, super easy to build up. So let's go ahead into the tutorial so you guys can see how I created this look with the Riviera palette. All right, so I definitely want to do something really colorful with this palette. I'm thinking of using like a bunch of the pink and purple shades, which is basically like half of the palette. So I'm going to start off with the shade Estate, which is like this light peachy shade. And then I'm just going to blend that pretty high up since it is a bit lighter. And I do especially love that for a colorful palette, they do have some lighter transition shades. Otherwise, it could be like a little overwhelming if it's just like bright purple and pink and blue. Some of the lighter tones are where you can make some more wearable looks. But we're still gonna go pretty colorful today because that is why I wanted this palette, because I love the Anastasia formula and I just wanted some more like summery shades. I'm just gonna use the same brush, and you can see this is like super powdery. It's the same formula as all the other Anastasia powders or matte shadows, and this is the shade Coastline. Just a little bit of a darker peach. Just focusing that in my crease. And then this is a Morphe M573. It's just like a tapered blending brush. I'm gonna go in with this shade Monte Carlo. I'm actually gonna focus on the pinky tones and just layer this up because I want this look to be more pink and add like that hot pink shade in there. And I will say some of these brighter tones, like the shade I'm wearing right now, and then Bahamas and Canes, the two, well, basically these three, like the pinks and the purples, they are gonna apply, not sheer, but like not like super bright off the bat, but I don't want that either. Like I don't want to like go like this and it be like highlighter pink all over. And obviously you guys can see like really quickly you can build this up in like seconds. With a little purple. So I'm taking, this is a small tapered brush from Luxie. I love this for my outer corner because it's like fluffy, but it still like packs on color. So I'm taking the shade Canes. I'm just gonna pack that on my outer corner because I'm gonna go in with a purpley lid color. I really want my eyeshadow to give me like Trix yogurt vibes. So obviously very pigmented, bright, vibrant shadows, and I use like a lot of the bold shades. I'm gonna use the pink in a little bit as well. I really like this shade of Mediterranean. I was playing with this on my eye the most. I like every shade in here. You guys are gonna see me use like every shade on my channel because all of the shimmers, really the gold I don't like so much because it's really yellowy, but all the rest of the shimmers are awesome. So I am going to wet Morphe 124 using some Smashbox primer water because y'all know I'm out of MAC Fix Plus and I'm trying to get myself to use this entire bottle before I buy Fix Plus again, but I want Fix Plus so badly because I feel like it performs better than anything. But Anyways, we're going in with the shade Mediterranean. This is a gorgeous, like, periwinkle color. So beautiful. Like, gorgeous foiled shadows. And then all of the shimmers in this palette are all the same formula. Like, they're all the metallic Anastasia formula. There's no chunky shades or no dry shadows. They're all like the metallic foiled shadows that I love in my Sultry palette, Soft Glam, Norvina palette. All right, so I'm taking a pencil brush. I'm just gonna apply that shade Canes on the outer corner just to deepen it up a little bit. And then I'm just taking a little bit of the shade Mediterranean, my lid color, with my finger to just kind of blend it into my outer edge. Just because I saw Jaclyn Hill do this in a recent video about blending to transition matte and shimmer shadows, especially when it's like colorful, could be a little bit trickier. All right, so I grabbed a little bit of this shade Bahamas. I'm gonna apply this in the inner area of my lid. I don't wanna apply it in my like inner corner because then it would look really weird. I tried this out a little bit already playing with this palette. And I definitely want it to be like focused right here. And that's what's gonna give you like that Trix yogurt vibe. Do they even make Trix yogurt anymore? What was that yogurt with like the sprinkles on the top? That, oh my God, I want that right now. I don't even eat yogurt. All right, and then so the pink doesn't look so harsh, I'm gonna take the shade Palmero and I'm just gonna apply this dry on top of the hot pink. So the shimmer, yeah, peeks through and it just tones it down and blends into the shimmer of the purple on my lid. All right, so I just threw on some lashes and my eyes are basically done. I just wanted to finish up with some highlighter. So I'm gonna take the Amrezy highlighter. I'm gonna apply this on my brow bone. Usually I only do a shimmery brow bone highlight whenever I'm doing something really colorful or something deeper, because then it just like opens up my eye a little bit more. And then in my inner corner, I think I want to apply the highlighter that I'm wearing today. This is the Wet n Wild's Mega Glow Loose Highlighter in the shade All Blown Up. I feel like that just kind of completes this look, and I'm just gonna drag it a little bit into the inner corner of my eye where the rest of the pink shadow is. All right, so eyes are done. I'm gonna zoom you guys out and let you know all my final thoughts on the Riviera palette. All right guys, so this is the completed look with the Riviera palette, and especially for a colorful look, this took me about half the time as most colorful looks do. I normally just apply like beige eyeshadow or like some kind of like neutral shadow. Like I'm wearing that like almost all the time. So whenever I do color, I feel like I have to focus more. Sometimes it's not as fun because it's really easy to mess up for me. And I'm never gonna be perfect with color because it's not like my go-to, but this makes it so much easier because the formula is so amazing. So I would actually go ahead and say that this is like good for any skill level because the matte colorful shades are really buildable, so you're not gonna get carried away too quickly, especially with like that bright purple or hot pink shade. But you can definitely build them up so easily. You're not gonna sit there like blending for like 20 minutes. I don't have that kind of time. I don't like to take that much time with my eyeshadow unless like, yeah, I just don't. I don't like to spend like days on my eyeshadows. So I think that this would be like really good if you're not used to color because this is such an easy to blend formula and you have enough variety of the colorful matte shades to really layer them on nicely. And all of the matte shades work really well together. I feel like Anastasia always does a really good job with their palettes to pick out shades that like you can put this on top of this, on top of this, on top of this, like, and it's not gonna look muddy or weird. Like they just melt together and look really pretty. And I also really don't like to overthink my eyeshadows. I like to just start my makeup and see where it takes me. And a lot of times with colorful shades, that can be tricky. But with this, it's not because they layer so well together, all of matte shades. And then the shimmer shadows are really, really easy. So I did wet my brush, but just so you guys know, like, you don't need to at all. I just like to swatch these because they make me so happy. You guys have seen me swatch it like 17 times in this video, but like all the shimmers apply so beautifully on their own. Like I just love this formula so much. It's the same quality as like my Sultry palette, which I'm obsessed with as well. Overall, I really don't have anything negative to say about this palette. I actually, looking at it, didn't think I would like every shade in here, or I was confused by the layout and pictures, like, oh, why would they have this like random brown and purple? But like once I saw it up close and once I started playing with the palette and like swatching it and thinking about different color combinations, like I think that every shade in this palette makes sense. The only thing I would change is instead of this matte white, I wish it was like tempera or some other base color from Anastasia. And I was definitely a little bit worried about the formula of some of the matte shades, especially the really bold shades, because Anastasia shadows are so powdery and have a lot of fallout, but they build up so nicely, and the fallout is definitely not like extreme or anything, so it's not difficult to work with. They definitely just apply the same as like the neutral matte shades, so definitely a really awesome palette. If you guys are a beginner with colors or you just want to incorporate more color in your collection, I would say to go with this palette. Sometimes with Anastasia palettes, they're really bold, so if you're more of a beginner, they might be like a little bit too intense of a formula, but because it is such blendable and buildable formula, I'd say that you guys would really enjoy it. Alright, so overall, I definitely am a big fan of the palette. If you're interested in this color scheme, I don't think you will be disappointed with it. And I also think that you'll get a lot more use out of it than just colorful looks, because there are some more neutrally shimmer shades that you can use with some other neutrals that you can incorporate into like a lot of different wearable looks, or just use all the color all the time if you want to as well. But I will definitely be getting a lot of use out of this palette, both with colorful looks and more neutral looks. So definitely really happy with this palette. Let me know if you guys purchased it or plan on purchasing it. I will link it in my description box as well. And that is everything for today's video. If you guys liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you guys soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.